My take. I've been thinking about it a lot this weekend. We can't have an honest discussion about what happened this weekend without discussing, or at least being aware of history. We cannot pretend that these things happen in a vacuum. They say those who don't learn their history are doomed to repeat it. You've heard that before. Since a lot of people this weekend and today are forgetting this country's history, let's take a short walk down memory lane. African Americans got here to America on ships, not by choice. There were no Ninas, Pintas, or Santa Marias for my people. They were brought here to be slaves to white people. Tortured, beaten, lynched, murdered. They helped build this country, build the White House even, and could not take part in this country's success. No voting, no education, no ability to accumulate wealth, no freedom, all the while white people from all over the world came here for a better life, were allowed the opportunity to realize the American dream. And once slavery was abolished, hundreds of years later, it is no surprise that an organization like the Ku Klux Klan began to take root. They wanted to take their country back, or should I say, make sure it stayed the same way, with black people in chains, enslaved. And in case you haven't seen the images of them gathering in the dark of night carrying torches, here they are, but at least they wore hoods then. The racist, white supremacist cowards this weekend evidently feel they have no reason to hide. They boldly showed their faces. Perhaps they feel emboldened or even legitimized for some reason. The former Grand Wizard of the KKK is David Duke, and he says, yes.
We are determined to take our country back. We're going to fulfill the promises of Donald Trump. That's what we believed in. That's why we voted for Donald Trump, because he said he's going to take our country back, and that's what we got to do.
By the way, I know David Duke. David Duke hasn't been hiding behind a hood for a long time. He attended the same university I attended, Louisiana State University. He even ran for governor and for the Senate. So back in February of last year, when my colleague Jake Tapper asked candidate Donald Trump about David Duke, his answer was perplexing.
Will you unequivocally condemn David Duke and say that you don't want his vote or that of other white supremacists in this election?
Well, just so you understand, I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know anything about what you're even talking about with white supremacy or white supremacists.
Trump did, under duress, disavow Duke a few days later, but the not knowing Duke was a flat-out lie. How do I know? Because Trump considered a run for president in 2000 as a Reform Party candidate, and he said this.
What do you see as the biggest problem with the Reform Party right now?
Well, you've got David Duke just joined, a bigot, a racist, a problem. I mean, this is not exactly the people you want in your party. Buchanan's a disaster, as we've, covered. Jesse's a terrific guy who just left the party, and he, it's unfortunate, but he just left the party.
David Duke, a bigot, not the kind of guy you want in your party. He knew him in 2000. He didn't know him in 2016. So Saturday, in the midst of the violence, when Trump tweeted, "We all must be united and condemn all that hate stands for. There is no place for this kind of violence in America. Let's come together as one." Well, David Duke responded with this tweet. "I would recommend you take a good look in the mirror and remember it was white Americans who put you in the presidency, not radical leftists." Still, the president had a chance to make it crystal clear whose side he was on, what he truly believes, and once in front of the cameras, the president refused to call out or call by name the racist, bigoted, white supremacist at the heart of the Charlottesville story. And just like in March of 2016 or in February of 2016, when asked to disavow Duke and racist, it took him days to do it, and only when he was backed into a corner. I asked Donald Trump on more than one occasion whether he was racist. And I asked you last time, I said, and some people were shocked, if you were racist. You knew why I was asking you that. Are you racist?
I am the least racist person that you have ever met. I am the least racist person.
Are you bigoted in any way?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Islamophobic?
I'm a person, no, not at all. I'm a person who happens to be very smart, and I happen to have a certain street sense, and I know where things are going.
So as I sit here with you, you've been very kind to me, right? You've introduced me to your family. You've been very kind to me. It has to, when people say that you're racist or homophobic or Islamophobic or whatever it is, That has to bother you. Or compare you to Hitler, their newspaper covers.
You know where things
Does
bother
that bother
me?
you?
No, if things are true, if that were true, it would bother me tremendously, okay? But of course, if you're a racist, you probably wouldn't care. But if things are true, it would bother me. But if it's so false, and honestly, I don't hear it often.
If you're a racist, you probably wouldn't care. He said the least racist. I'll let you decide. One thing I do know, there were 2 tragedies this weekend. One in Charlottesville, the other at Bedminster in New Jersey.